In the vibrant heart of Ndem village, where red soil glowed under the sun like burnt copper and ancient baobab trees whispered stories to the wind, lived Awele, the only daughter of Chief Obieze, the proud ruler of the land. People said she was born with grace woven into her bones, a child whose footsteps carried the rhythm of destiny. Her skin glowed like polished ebony in the evening sun, her eyes were deep and stubborn like her mother's, and she walked with the confidence of someone who knew she would one day become a queen. Awele had grown up surrounded by abundance, silk wrappers from distant lands, golden beads from traders, and servants who bowed whenever she approached. She was used to being treated as special, important, untouchable. But one person in the entire village was unimpressed by all of that. Madu, the son of Old Nkem, the village's most hard-working farmer. The first time Owele saw him, he wore nothing but a simple loincloth and a faded shirt, pushing a wheelbarrow filled with yams. Sweat glistened across his muscular back, and his strong arms moved with calm determination. Awele, spoiled by luxury and blinded by her own pride, glanced at him and whispered to her friend, "He is just a farmer's son, nothing more." A cruel statement, one she would come to regret. But fate is a silent dancer. It moves unseen. It shakes destinies like leaves in the wind. And fate had begun its dance for Awele and Madu. That evening, the royal household prepared for the New Moon Festival, a celebration of life, harvest, and hidden blessings. The entire compound buzzed with activity as drums echoed through the air. Yet Awele couldn't shake the memory of Madu's calm eyes, the way he didn't look at her with awe or fear. Something about that unsettled her. Why didn't he act like everyone else? Why didn't he bow or stammer? Why did he look at her as though he saw someone ordinary? Her pride prickled like thorns. Little did she know that the same boy she dismissed would soon carry her destiny in his hands and change her life in ways she could never imagine. For beneath his quiet nature and simple clothes lay a secret, one older than the village itself, one powerful enough to shift kingdoms. And fate was only getting started. Madu was no ordinary farmer's son, though Awele did not know that yet. He lived on the outskirts of Ndem village in a modest mud hut with his father, Old Nkem, who was respected for his kindness and wisdom more than for his wealth. Their farm stretched across the fertile plains bordering the whispering forest. Birds loved their land, fruits grew sweeter there, and every harvest season Nkem's crops thrived when others struggled. People often whispered, "That man's hands carry blessing, the land listens to him." But Madu knew the truth. The blessing came from him, not his father. Since childhood, he had possessed an unusual bond with nature. Plants sprouted faster under his touch, animals trusted him, and rain often fell on their farmland even when neighboring farms remained dry. But Nkem warned him, "Hide your gift. The world fears what it cannot understand." So Madu lived quietly. He worked hard, he kept to himself. But the one thing he could not control was how he felt when he saw Awele. He felt nothing romantic, not yet, but he felt sadness. Sadness that someone so beautiful, so bright, carried pride like a heavy chain around her neck. Sadness that she lived in a cage made of expectations, even if the cage was made of gold. When she called him just a farmer's son, he felt nothing but a quiet understanding. People judged what they could not see. But fate was watching them like a patient hunter. And on the night of the New Moon Festival, when drums thundered across the sky and lanterns glowed like fireflies, Madu's path would cross with Awele's again, not as strangers, but as two destinies colliding. For beneath the quiet forest that bordered the village, something ancient had awakened, something hungry, something waiting. The entire village danced under the moonlight. Women wore colorful wrappers, men beat talking drums, and children chased each other with glowing sticks. Owele stood in the center of it all, radiant in a crimson wrapper embroidered with gold thread. Her neck dripped with coral beads, her hair was braided into a crown. Yet beneath her bright appearance, her mind wandered. Why was she still thinking of him? Every time she closed her eyes, Madu's gaze returned to her mind, calm, steady, honest. Unlike every suitor who bowed and begged for her attention, he simply worked, lived, breathed, unbothered by her existence. And for the first time in her life, Owele felt invisible. It irritated her. It intrigued her. Meanwhile, in the shadows near the forest edge, Madu felt something entirely different. A strange breeze brushed his skin, cold, wrong, ancient. The trees whispered warnings, leaves trembled, the moon dimmed for a moment, as though swallowed by unseen teeth. Something was coming, something
the noise
dangerous.
of the festival behind. He saw her, Owele, laughing with her friends. She looked like a flame flickering against the night sky, untouched by darkness, unaware of danger. He hesitated. Should he warn the chief? Should he tell someone? But before he could decide, a scream shattered the village air. A child, terrified, running from the forest. "The shadows! The shadows are moving!" The drums stopped. The laughter died. The air froze, and destiny stepped forward. Villagers rushed toward the forest edge, lanterns shaking in trembling hands. Even the bravest hunters stayed behind the chief, too frightened to investigate alone. Owele felt a sharp fear twist inside her. Not fear for herself, but for the village she loved. Chief Obieze commanded, "Bring more torches. Form a line. No one enters the forest." But Madu was already walking toward it. Owele saw him and gasped in disbelief. Is he mad? Does he want to die? No farmer's son should walk toward danger. No ordinary man should step into a forest where shadows had begun to move on their own. But something about the way Madu walked, calm, steady, fearless, struck her. He wasn't trying to be a hero. He wasn't trying to impress anyone. He simply walked as though the darkness belonged to him. In that moment, Owele saw something she had never noticed before. He walked like someone who didn't fear death. The trees began to shake violently. A dark mist rolled out from between them, forming shapes, figures, twisted things with hollow eyes and whispering mouths. People screamed. Chief Obieze fell back, grabbing his daughter's arm. But Madu kept walking, and the shadows stopped. They gathered in front of him like frightened animals. They trembled. They bowed their heads. Owele's breath caught in her throat. Who was this boy? What was he? Then Madu whispered words no one understood, words older than the village, older than the earth itself. The shadows dissolved like smoke. The forest stilled. The night returned to normal. Silence fell. Every eye in the village stared at him, especially Owele, and for the first time she did not see just a farmer's son. She saw mystery, power, a force she had never imagined. And deep inside her, something shifted. The village was shaken, whispering with fear and awe. Who was Madu? How did he calm the shadows? What power did he possess? Chief Obieze summoned him immediately. Torches lit the chief's courtyard as warriors surrounded Madu, though none dared touch him. Owele stood by her father's side, trying to appear calm, though her heart raced like a drum. "Madu," Chief Obieze said, "what happened in the forest? How did you stop those things?" Madhu lowered his gaze respectfully. It is nothing, my chief. The shadows were hungry, lost. They needed to be guided back. Guided? The chief repeated. By you, a simple farmer's son? Awele flinched at those words. She knew she had said something similar before, and guilt pricked her. Madhu took a slow breath. I am not simple, my chief. My mother, she came from a lineage that communed with the earth. I inherited her gift. Whispers spread instantly. Awele stared at him, completely stunned. He continued quietly. I can hear the land, the trees, the spirits that live among them. They listen to me, and I to them. Some villagers gasped, some stepped back, but Awele stepped forward. You saved us, she said softly, unable to hide her awe. You saved all of us tonight. Madhu looked at her, really looked at her, and for the first time she saw kindness in his gaze, mixed with something deeper. But before anyone could speak again, Olden Kem appeared breathless. Madhu, he shouted, the forest spirits will not rest. Tonight was only the beginning. Madhu's eyes darkened. Awele felt a glycra spine. The shadows had not come by accident. Something ancient had awakened, something powerful, something tied to Madhu's bloodline, and Awele, for reasons she did not yet understand, was now tangled in that destiny. Their lives were about to change forever. The night after the incident, the air in Dem village felt different, heavy, charged, as though the sky was waiting for something to happen. People walked quietly, glancing toward the forest with fear in their eyes. Even the wind seemed cautious, avoiding the treetops that bordered the land. Inside the chief's compound, Awele sat on a woven mat, unable to rest. Her mind kept replaying the moment Madhu walked into darkness without fear. The shadows had bowed to him, bowed. She had never seen anything like it. A servant stepped into her hut. Your father says you should stay indoors. The council will meet tonight. Awele nodded, but barely listened. Her thoughts drifted elsewhere. Who exactly was Madhu? Her pride had blinded her before, but now she wanted answers, not just about the shadows, but about him. Why did he seem so calm in a moment that made warriors tremble? What kind of power lived in his blood? At the outskirts of the village, Madhu sat with his father around a dying fire. Nkem's face was filled with worry. The wrinkles on his forehead looked deeper than usual. This is why your mother feared the day you would show your gift, Nkem whispered. The world does not understand such power. They fear it.
Father, I didn't call the shadows. They came on their own, and they will come again. I know, Nkem said quietly, because this is bigger than you, bigger than all of us. Madhu's jaw tightened. Tell me the truth, he said. Tell me what you've kept hidden since Mother died. Nkem hesitated, swallowing hard. Your mother's lineage belonged to the guardians of the root, an ancient bloodline blessed by Allah, the Earth Mother herself. Their duty was to protect the harmony between man and the spirit world. And the shadows? Madhu asked. They were once spirits of the forest, Nkem replied, voice trembling, but something corrupted them. Something sealed centuries ago is trying to awaken. Silence stretched between them. What is awakening, Father? Nkem took a slow, shaky breath. The curse your mother died trying to keep sealed. Madhu froze. And at that exact moment, far away in her hut, Awele felt a strange pull in her chest, as if something invisible had tied her fate to his. The curse was rising, and both their destinies were about to collide in ways no one expected.
The council gathered beneath the great Iroko tree at dusk. Torches flickered, shadows danced across the ground, and the elders' faces appeared carved from stone. The village had not held a night meeting in years, only times of crisis called for such urgency. Chief Obieze sat at the center, Awele behind him, even though he'd told her not to attend. She hid behind one of the large clay pillars, silent as a mouse. Old Enkem had been summoned, and Madhu walked beside him with quiet dignity. An uneasy murmur traveled through the gathering as they approached. One elder whispered, "That is the boy who spoke to the shadows." Another muttered, "A child should not hold such power." A third hissed, "Power is dangerous in hands untrained." Chief Obieze raised a hand. "Let us begin." Enkem explained everything, or rather the part he was willing to share, about the ancient lineage, the bond with the land, the spiritual responsibility. But the elders were restless, their fear growing with every word. At last, Elder Okwudili spoke. "So this boy can summon and control spirits." "He does not summon them," Enkem replied. "He communicates with them. There is a difference." Awele frowned. She could hear the irritation in Enkem's voice. The elders, however, did not care for nuance. "What if he loses control?" another elder snapped. "What if he attracts more shadows?" said a third. "What if he brings doom upon us?" Their voices rose in panic, becoming a storm of accusations. Finally, Madhu stepped forward. "I did not choose this gift," he said calmly, "but I use it to protect, not to harm. The shadows you saw were not summoned by me. They came because something dark is stirring." The elders fell silent. Chief Obieze asked, "Can you stop it from rising?" Madhu hesitated. "I do not know, not alone." His eyes drifted for a moment and landed on the shadows where Awele hid, though she believed she was invisible. Their eyes met briefly, and her breath caught. Why did it feel like he was looking directly into her soul? The council was far from satisfied. "Madhu must leave Ndem," one elder declared, "for the safety of the village." Whispers exploded. Awele's heart dropped. Enkem stepped protectively in front of his son. "He will not leave," he said fiercely. But the elders were already determined, fueled by fear and ignorance. Chief Obieze stood, raising his staff to command silence. "This decision is not final," he said firmly. "I will speak with the spirits myself." The meeting ended. The villagers dispersed. But Awele did not move. For the first time, she realized how easily fear could turn admiration into hatred. Madhu had saved them, and yet they wanted him gone. Her chest tightened with something unfamiliar, something fierce. She did not know it yet. It was the first spark of love. Awele waited for the council dispersal to have quieted. Crickets chirped, the moon hung low, and the breeze whispered between the huts. She stepped out from her hiding place and followed Madhu as he walked toward the outskirts of the village. "Madhu," she called softly. He stopped, but did not turn around immediately. "Princess, it is late. You should be inside the compound." She folded her arms, ignoring his attempt to maintain distance. "Why didn't you tell them everything? Why didn't you explain properly? You saved the village." Finally he turned, his eyes steady and calm as always. "Awele, explanations do not cure fear." She opened her mouth, then hesitated. He was right. Even she had feared him for a moment, until she remembered the way he had stood between the village and the shadows without hesitation. Madhu, she said softly, stepping closer, the elders were wrong. And you? He asked. Do you think they were wrong too? She swallowed. I misjudged you, she admitted, her voice trembling slightly in humility she wasn't used to. I called you just a farmer's son, but I was blind. He studied her for a long moment. The night air thickened between them. You were not blind, he said at last. You simply saw
now?
what the
She
world
whispered.
taught you to see.
Now, he replied softly, you see me. Awele felt heat rise in her cheeks. She looked away, embarrassed by how his calm confidence unraveled her. But then Madhu's expression darkened. You should stay away from me, he said quietly. The darkness in the forest is connected to my bloodline. Being near me could put you in danger. Awele's eyes widened. Danger? Me? I am the chief's daughter. This darkness does not fear chiefs. It does not bow to crowns or titles. It only seeks power. And it seeks you? Awele asked. Madhu nodded once, troubled. A silence settled between them. Awele stepped closer. Too close. Madhu, she whispered, then I will stay by your side, danger or not. He shook his head slowly. Awele, destiny is not kind. It will break you if you follow me. She lifted her chin stubbornly. Let it try. And for the first time in a long, long while, Madhu's composure cracked, just a little. He looked at her not as a princess, not as a girl who once insulted him, but as someone whose spirit burned as fiercely as his own. That night, long after everyone slept, the earth trembled with a warning. First a soft hum, then a vibration strong enough to shake the walls of huts. Animals fled, birds screeched, dogs howled. Awele shot up from her sleeping mat, heart pounding. She rushed out of her hut, and her father stumbled out as well, carrying his staff. What is happening? She cried. Chief Obieze didn't answer. His eyes were fixed on the forest, glowing faintly with an unnatural blue mist. The same mist Madhu had described when he spoke of corrupted spirits. Madhu! Awele whispered, fear slicing through her chest. She ran, ignoring her father's commands, toward the outskirts of the village. She found Madhu already outside his hut, standing in front of the trembling earth, as though expecting it. Madhu! She called. He didn't turn. It has begun, he murmured. What has begun? She gasped. The awakening of the devourer, Nkem said from behind them, his voice shaking. The ancient spirit your mother died fighting. The ground split in the distance, a thin crack glowing from within like molten fire. Awele grabbed Madhu's arm, terrified. What do we do? She whispered. Madhu finally turned to her, his expression heavy with the burden of destiny. We prepare, because what is rising from beneath the forest will not stop until it consumes everything. Awele stared at him, breathless. For the first time, the boy she once dismissed looked like the center of the world's greatest war. The sky darkened, stars flickering like dying sparks. Madhu led Awele and Nkem into the inner room of their hut, a place filled with old carvings, strange symbols, and herbs hanging from the ceiling. Awele glanced around in awe. This was your mother's sacred room, Nkem said. She used it to speak with the land when danger approached. Madhu knelt before a wooden box carved with swirling patterns. When he opened it, Awele gasped. Inside lay a necklace made of stone beads, glowing faintly as though lit from within. What is that? She whispered. A relic of the guardians, Madhu replied. My mother left it for the day the devourer would rise again. He lifted the necklace, and the stones pulsed with life. Nkem added, only someone tied to the land, not just by blood, but by spirit, can activate its power. Madhu looked at Awele then. Her breath stalled.
"Why are you staring at me?" she asked softly. "Because," he said, "the relic activated the moment you stepped inside." Awele froze. "That is impossible." "No," Madhu said gently. "It means something in you is tied to my destiny." Her heart thudded wildly. "But I'm not a guardian," she protested. "I'm not from your lineage." "No," Madhu agreed, "but destiny does not always follow bloodlines." The room seemed to pulse around them, the air thickening, drawing them together like threads being woven. "Nadu," she whispered, "what does this mean?" "It means," he said, voice softer than she had ever heard it, "that the earth has chosen you to stand with me." Awele trembled, not from fear, from the sudden realization that she no longer wanted to walk away. Not now, not ever. The devourer was rising, the village was in danger, their lives were shifting at the hands of fate, and in the center of it all, two souls were being bound long before either understood why. Awele stared at the glowing relic as if it were a living heart, its pulsing light reflected in her eyes, making them shine like wet obsidian stones. Madhu held the necklace gently, but he did not look at it. He looked at her, almost in disbelief. "It shouldn't react to anyone except a guardian," he said quietly. "Yet the moment you stepped in, it awakened." Awele felt the air shift, becoming warm, almost protective around her. She whispered, "Maybe it's broken." "No," Nkem murmured. "Relics of the root never malfunction. They only respond to destiny." Awele took an unsteady step backward. "Destiny? Mine? I don't understand anything anymore." Slow and careful, as though she might bolt like a frightened deer. "Listen," he said softly. "The devourer is rising because the balance between our world and the spirit realm has weakened. The relic reacts only when someone capable of restoring that balance is present." Awele shook her head. "But I don't have powers. I can't hear trees like you. I don't speak to shadows. I'm just—" "You are not just anything," Madhu interrupted gently. "You never were." Her heartbeat stumbled. This was the first time anyone had spoken to her that way, not as a princess, not as a privileged daughter, but as someone important on her own. "Then what am I?" she whispered. Madhu hesitated. He seemed almost afraid of his own answer. "A part of me," he finally said. Awele blinked. Her breathing faltered. What does that mean?" Nkem cleared his throat, stepping between them. "The guardian's power often awakens in pairs. One holds the voice of the land, the other holds the spirit of balance. Alone, each is powerful. Together, unstoppable." Awele's lips parted in shock. Madhu clenched his jaw. He had known pain, hunger, sacrifice, but never fear like the fear of losing someone who had just stepped into this destiny. "You don't have to accept this," he told her quietly. "The relic may have chosen you, but destiny is cruel. It will put you in danger. It may even—" Awele stepped toward him, her chin lifted. "Did you not say you didn't choose your gift? Then why should I run from mine?" He stared at her, breath caught in his throat. She touched the relic lightly, and the room lit up with a brilliant, blinding glow. The relic had made its decision. The princess had been chosen, and nothing could undo that now. The moment Awele's fingers brushed the relic, the world around her shifted. The hut faded, replaced by a landscape of fog and glowing earth. She stood alone in a vast expanse, silent, endless, and ancient. "Awele," a voice whispered from the wind. No, not the wind, the earth itself. Her breath trembled. She turned, seeing shapes materialize from the mist, tall spirits with bark-like skin, glowing eyes and crowns of leaves. Their presence hummed with raw energy. Who are you?" she asked. "The keepers of the realm you now walk," the spirits replied in unison. "We are the Whispering Root." Awele swallowed hard. "I shouldn't be here. I'm not like Madhu. I can't hear trees like you. I don't speak to shadows. I'm just—" "Yet the relic chose you," they said. The ground beneath her glowed, forming images, moving visions that played like memories of the earth. A great beast with scales like cracked stone, eyes like burning coals, a mouth large enough to swallow trees. Its roar shook the land. The Devourer. It slithered through the forest, consuming everything in its path. Trees withered to ash, animals fled only to collapse, drained of life. Rivers dried instantly. Awele almost fell to her knees. "No, this cannot be real." The spirit spoke again. "The seal weakens. The devourer will rise unless the bonded pair restores balance." "Bonded?" she echoed, heart racing. "The guardian of the land." A vision of Madhu appeared, calm, powerful, glowing with earthy strength. "The guardian of the spirit." The vision shifted, this time showing Awele surrounded by swirling light. "But I don't know how to use anything," she cried desperately. "I'm not ready." "No one is ready when destiny calls," the spirits whispered. "But the land sees your heart, and your heart has already chosen." The visions faded, the mist fell away, and she found herself back in the hut, gasping, sweating, trembling. Madhu held her shoulders. "Awele, what happened?" She looked at him, tears blurring her vision. "Madhu," she whispered, "I saw the devourer." His blood ran cold. And I saw us." He froze, every part of him going still. "We are bonded," she said softly. "This fight is ours." Madhu closed his eyes in pain, as though hearing the one truth he feared most. Together they were powerful, but together they were vulnerable, and destiny demanded both. For the next hours, Madhu paced the room like a trapped lion. Awele had just seen visions no untrained soul should ever witness. Yet she stood strong, too strong for someone who had just been told the fate of the village rested on her. Finally, he stopped pacing and faced her. "You should not have been dragged into this," he said quietly. "Your path should have been one of peace, of privilege, of safety." Awele raised her chin. "And you think my life is only meant for looking beautiful and being protected?" He flinched, realizing her pride was wounded. "That is not what I meant." "Then say what you meant." Madhu inhaled deeply. "You deserve more than a destiny filled with danger and death." Awele stepped closer, her eyes burning with determination that felt older than her age. "Maybe I deserve the destiny that is mine, not the one others imagined for me." Silence, and Kem watched them with an expression that was part worry, part sorrow, part awe. "Awele," Madhu said softly, "if you stay by my side, the devourer will come for you too."
"It already has." Before he could respond, a sudden gust of wind blasted into the hut, though the door remained closed. All three startled. "What is that?" Awele whispered. Inkem's face paled. "Spirits," he said, "but not the good kind." The fire dimmed. Shadows gathered in one corner of the room, thick and moving, a swirling mass of whispers and hateful energy.
Madu's eyes hardened. "Corrupted spirits," he muttered. One of the shadowy forms lunged toward Awele. Madu reacted instantly. He grabbed her arm, pulling her behind him. His other hand slammed into the air, and the ground itself shook. A ripple of energy burst from the floor, throwing the spirit backward. But 3 more appeared. "Madu!" Inkem cried. "You cannot hold them alone, not when they come in numbers." Awele felt a strange heat bloom in her palms. Panic surged through her. She raised her hands defensively, and a burst of bright light shot outward, blasting the spirits away in a single pulse. All 3 froze. The room was silent. The shadows dissolved. Only the crackling fire remained. Awele stared at her trembling hands. What did I just do?" Madu stepped forward slowly, eyes wide with awe. "You awakened your spirit power," he whispered. "Awele, you are truly chosen." Inkem exhaled shakily. "The devourer will feel this," he warned. "It will know she has awakened." Madu's jaw tightened. "Then we have little time." Awele whispered, "Then teach me." And there was no turning back. Training began that same night. There was no time to waste. The crack in the earth near the forest had widened, and its glow pulsed like a heartbeat, each pulse stronger than the last. Under the cold moonlight, Madu led Awele to the sacred clearing behind their hut. The grass glowed faintly, and the air hummed with energy. "We start with breathing," Madu said. "Breathing?" Awele frowned. "How will that help me fight a monster that eats the earth?" Madu gave a faint smile. "Because power is nothing without control." She opened her mouth to argue, then shut it. She trusted him, even if she didn't want to admit it aloud. He stood behind her, guiding her posture. "Close your eyes," he said. She obeyed. "Feel the air," he whispered. "Feel the ground. Feel the heartbeat of the earth beneath your feet." His voice flowed through her like a river, smooth, grounding, ancient. She inhaled. The wind stirred, the earth throbbed faintly, and her heart slowed into harmony with both. "Good," Madu murmured. "Now call it." "Call what?" "The spirit that sleeps within you." Awele hesitated. She didn't know how. She didn't know what to expect. "Madu, what if nothing happens?" He came closer, his breath warm against her ear. "I am here." Those 3 words steadied her more than any magic ever could. She inhaled deeply, and the light inside her burst awake. Energy surged through her veins, rushing like a river after a storm. Grass bent outward in a perfect circle around her. The wind spiraled upward. Her eyes glowed, reflecting the moonlight. Madu stepped back, stunned. She was powerful, more powerful than she realized, more powerful than he had ever imagined. But power comes with consequences. A rumble echoed from the forest. The ground trembled. A distant roar shook the night. The devourer had felt her awakening, and it was coming. The roar grew louder, deep, monstrous, vibrating the air itself. Awele stumbled, the glow fading from her eyes as fear punched through her chest. "Madu, what is that? It's coming, isn't it?" He grabbed her hand. "Yes, and we must run." Inkem burst out of the hut, staff in hand. "It has sensed your awakening. The devourer has sent its soldiers." From the forest emerged creatures unlike anything mortal eyes were meant to see, twisted beings shaped from corrupted earth. Their forms were half root, half shadow, with hollow eyes and jaws that stretched too wide. Awele felt terror seize her whole body. Madu stepped in front of her. "Stay behind me." "No," she said, breath shaking. "If I run from my destiny, I will never be ready." Madhu shot her a sharp look. This is not training. This is survival. And I am part of this fight, her voice trembling yet fierce. Their eyes met, a storm of fear, courage, and something deeper. Fine, then we protect each other. The first creature leaped. Madhu slammed his palm into the ground. A wave of earth rose like a shield, blocking the attack. Owele extended her hands. Light shot forward, blasting another creature into dust. More came, dozens, the night filled with roars, blasts of light, and thunderous, earth-shaking energy. Owele's heart raced, her breath uneven, her limbs trembling from exertion. She wasn't ready, she wasn't trained, she wasn't steady, but she was chosen, and chosen souls do not break easily. Madhu fought like a storm, rage and earth merging as one. Owele fought like fire, bright, unpredictable, blazing with spirit. Yet despite their strength, the creatures kept coming. Too many, too fast, too fierce. One creature slipped past Madhu, lunging at Owele. She gasped.
She stumbled back, and Madhu threw himself in front of her, taking the blow across his shoulder. He fell to one knee. "Madhu!" she screamed. Blood dripped down his arm. He forced himself to stand again. "I told you," he rasped. "Destiny is cruel." Owele fell beside him, tears stinging her eyes. "Madhu, I can't lose you." He met her gaze with pain, fear, and something painfully tender. "You won't," he whispered. But deep in the forest, something massive stirred. A roar shook the night, louder than before, older than nightmares, stronger than death. The devourer had awakened, and the real battle was only about to begin. The next morning arrived with a sky swollen with heavy gray clouds, as though the heavens themselves were preparing for a confrontation. Anena woke with her mind tangled between fear, anger, hope, and the unshakable ache of love. Her dreams had been filled with Adana's warnings, echoes of a Yogu's pain, and the truth she had tried so hard to ignore. She stepped outside, inhaling the scent of wet earth. Across the compound, she saw her mother grinding pepper, but sneaking glances at her with the suspicion of a woman who knew something but did not want to admit it. Before Anena could speak, a thunderous rumble rolled across the sky, and from the distance came the sound of footsteps, hurried and heavy. A Yogu. He emerged at the village square, drenched in sweat, though it had not yet begun to rain. His eyes searched until they found hers, guilty but determined, soft but resolute. "Anena," he said, breathless, "please, we need to talk." Her heart jumped. The villagers turned slightly to watch, pretending not to stare. She wanted to run to him and away from him at the same time. She wanted the truth, yet feared it. "What is it now?" she asked quietly. "I need you to understand something, about yesterday, about everything." She crossed her arms, trying to hide how her fingers trembled. "I'm listening." But before he could speak, a deep male voice boomed behind them. "You are finally showing your true intentions." It was Chief Ikem. Ayogu stiffened, every muscle in his body tightening. Anena turned slowly, dread filling her chest. Chief Ikem approached them, flanked by two guards. His wrapper was tied tightly, his staff striking the ground like thunder with every step. "You think you can deceive everyone? You, the son of a farmer, daring to stand beside the daughter of a man you betrayed?" Betrayed? The word struck Anena like a slap. Ayogu lowered his gaze. "Chief," he said calmly, "this is not the place—" "I will decide what the place is," the chief roared. People began gathering, drawn by the confrontation.
Anena felt her heart pounding. Ayogu, what is he talking about? Betrayed who? Lightning cracked across the sky. Ayogu inhaled sharply. His jaw tightened. When he lifted his head, the truth lay heavy in his eyes. Anena, he whispered, I have to tell you what happened the night the sacred grove was set on fire. A gasp rippled through the crowd. You? Chief Ikem sneered. Still trying to play the hero? Tell her everything. Tell her how your family is responsible for the curse that hangs over her father. The air froze. Anena's breath faltered. Ayogu shut his eyes for a moment, gathering strength, then finally spoke. That night, my father and I were there, and everything that happened afterwards, your father's exile, the hatred between our families, the curse that spread, it began with us. The clouds finally broke open as rain began to fall. Anena's voice cracked. Ayogu, what did you do? And as the rain poured, Ayogu knew there was no longer any running from the past. The storm intensified, rain slashing down as though washing the truth out of hiding. Villagers scattered for shelter, but some remained, too curious, too hungry for scandal to miss the unfolding drama. Ayogu took a slow breath, staring directly into Anena's eyes, even as Chief Ikem loomed nearby with triumph curling across his face. It was supposed to be a simple task. The elders were conducting forbidden rituals in the sacred grove, and my father, Ogwefin Woke, believed they were endangering the village. Chief Ikem snorted. Your father believed he could challenge tradition. He was warned, but stubbornness is the disease of the poor. Ayogu ignored him and continued. Anena, we went there that night. We were only supposed to observe, maybe disrupt the ritual by scaring them away, but the torches, one torch fell. The dry leaves caught fire. The flames spread so fast. Anena covered her mouth in horror. So it was an accident? She whispered. Ayogu lowered his head. No, the elders believed it was intentional. The grove burned, sacred things were destroyed, and someone had to take the blame. He swallowed hard. Your father happened to arrive shortly after the fire. The elders assumed he was responsible because he had argued with them earlier that day. And instead of speaking out,
Kept quiet.
Ayogu's voice
The admission
cracked.
hit Nena like a spear to the heart. You knew? She whispered. All these years? You knew my father was punished for something he didn't do? He nodded slowly. My father said staying silent would protect us, that no one would listen to a farmer's son over the words of powerful elders. He made me swear to never speak of it. Nena staggered back. Chief Ikem stepped forward with satisfaction. You see, this is what he truly is, a coward from a cursed lineage. Enough, Ayogu snapped. You are not innocent in this either. Gasps erupted around them. Ayogu turned to the crowd. What I'm about to say, I should have said years ago, but I was a boy then. I am a man now. Nena felt the earth shift beneath her feet. Ayogu pointed his staff-like hand at Chief Ikem. Chief Ikem knew the truth from the beginning. He bribed one of the elders to keep quiet. He wanted Nena's father out of the way because he feared his rising influence. A collective gasp tore through the air. Chief Ikem's face twisted with rage, but before he could speak, enough! A booming female voice cut through the storm. Adana, the oldest seer, the woman who rarely left her shrine. She walked forward under the rain, unfazed, her staff glowing faintly. The truth, she declared, has finally begun to reveal itself. But this is only the surface. Much deeper secrets lie beneath. She turned to Nena.
You will decide how this story ends, but first you must hear everything." Iogu held Nena's gaze, drenched in rain and regret, and Nena, heart torn open, whispered, "Tell me everything, all of it." The storm quieted into a heavy drizzle, as though the sky itself knew something sacred was about to be spoken. The villagers formed a wide circle, whispering among themselves. Chief Ikem tried to compose his expression, but his fury simmered beneath the surface like boiling oil. Adana stepped into the center, her gray hair plastered to her skin by the rain, her staff thumping the ground once, twice, before glowing faintly. "Young ones," she said, her voice echoing unnaturally, "this conflict began long before either of you were born." Iogu and Nena exchanged a confused glance. What happened the night of the burning was only the spark, but the fire that started it all came from the greed of men who feared losing power. Her eyes cut sharply toward Chief Ikem. Nena swallowed. "Mama Adana, please tell us, what does he have to do with this?" Adana inhaled deeply. 20 years ago, Chief Ikem desired something forbidden, control of the sacred grove. He believed its spiritual power could elevate him above every elder, but he needed a reason, an excuse, to take control. Chief Ikem stiffened. "That is a lie spoken by a dying woman," he spat. Adana smiled knowingly. "If I were truly dying, Ikem, then surely I would have joined the ancestors by now, since that is what you prayed for." Another wave of shocked whispers swept through the villagers. Iogu frowned. "So my father and I stumbling into the grove that night was exactly the opportunity Ikem needed," Adana finished. "He used your presence there to shift blame to an innocent man, Nena's father. The elders were already divided, confused by the fire. Ikem took advantage, pushing the narrative that the blame must fall on someone with no powerful family to defend him." Nena felt sick. "So all of this, the exile, the curse, my father's suffering, it was all because of politics?" Adana shook her head. "Not politics, greed." Iogu clenched his fists. "So my silence was the chain that bound you both," Adana said gently. She lifted her staff. "But hear this, the grove was not destroyed by accident alone. Something else happened that night." The villagers leaned forward. "A spirit, one older than this village, older than every ancestor, was awakened by the flames. It was bound to the grove. When the fire touched its roots, it rose, furious, and cursed everything connected to the betrayal." Nena felt her knees weaken. "A real curse?" "Oh, yes," Adana whispered, "but curses do not cling to people without reason. It attached itself to secrets, lies, and suppressed guilt." Her gaze rested heavily on Iogu. "You have felt it, haven't you?" Iogu's breath caught. Nena looked at him. "Iogu, what is she talking about?" Iogu opened his mouth to speak, but before he could, a loud crack split the air. A palm tree near the square bent unnaturally, its trunk twisting despite the rain-soaked soil. Then a chilling wind rolled through the village. Adana's eyes widened. "It is awake again." A low, rumbling growl, one not belonging to any living animal, echoed through the village. The curse had returned, and it was coming for the truth. The unnatural wind spiraled through the village like a living creature, cold and sharp, making even the bravest men stumble backwards. Children cried, mothers clutched their wrappers tightly, and the elders whispered ancient prayers under their breath. Iogu instinctively stepped in front of Nena. The air shimmered, and then a figure formed before them. Not flesh, not shadow,
Its body looked
something
like smoke
between.
wrapped in leaves, its eyes burning like green fire. Its voice was a mix of wind and thunder. "The circle of lies has not been broken." People screamed. A few fell to their knees. Nenna shivered violently. This is the spirit?" Adana nodded grimly. "The guardian of the grove. It has awakened because your truths collide." The spirit turned its blazing eyes toward Chief Ikem. "Human, you who stole what was not yours, your time has come." Chief Ikem stumbled back. "Spirit, listen, I acted for the protection of the village." "Lie!" The air shook. Lightning cracked inches from his feet. Ikem screamed and crawled backward. I only wanted to preserve order. The grove needed stronger leadership." The spirit leaned forward. "And so you sacrificed the innocent." Ikem sobbed. "It was necessary for peace." Ayogu shouted, "Peace? You destroyed families!" The spirit turned to him next. Its voice deepened. "And you, the boy who watched truth burn." Ayogu froze, trembling. "Your silence fed the curse. You carried guilt until it poisoned your destiny." Nenna grabbed Ayogu's hand. "No, don't listen to it. It wasn't his fault." The spirit's head jerked toward her. "Daughter of the wronged, you carry a heart of fire, but even fire can destroy if not guided." Nenna swallowed. "What must we do? How do we break the curse?" The spirit extended a smoky hand and pointed at Adana. "The keeper knows." All eyes turned to the old woman. Adana lifted her staff. "The curse will only end when the three who were wronged, the three whose destinies were tied to that night, stand together in truth." Nenna frowned. "Three? My father, Ayogu, and who else?" Adana's eyes darkened. "Nenna, your mother did not tell you everything." The spirit growled. "Bring the third, or this village will fall before nightfall." The rain intensified. Nenna felt the world closing in around her. "Who is the third? Please tell me." Adana looked into her eyes, pity clouding her face. "The third person wronged that night is you, Nenna." Silence. Nenna's breath stopped. "Me? But I wasn't even born yet." Adana nodded. "Yes, but the choices made that night shaped the womb that carried you. The curse fed on your mother's grief, the village's betrayal, and the injustice done to your father. You inherited the final chain." A horrifying realization swept over Nenna. I am bound to the curse?" The spirit answered for her. "Yes, you are the key." Ayogu stepped in front of her. "Spirit, if she is the key, then I am the lock. Punish me, not her." The spirit roared so loudly the ground shook. "Love does not free injustice, only truth does." It lowered its voice, the wind becoming eerily calm. "The three must confess before the shrine. Only then will the curse end." The villagers whispered in fear. Nenna looked at Ayogu, rain mixing with tears. "Ayogu, will you stand with me, even if the truth condemns us?" Without hesitation, he held her hand. "Always." And the spirit vanished in a flash of green fire, leaving them with one final task: face the past, together.
Evening fell faster than usual, the sky dimming to an unnatural shade of crimson. The villagers gathered in trembling clusters as Nena, Iogu, and Adana walked toward the ancient shrine, the place where the curse was first born. The shrine stood at the edge of the forest, carved from massive stones, covered with thick moss, with ancient symbols glowing faintly in the fading light. It felt older than time, older than memory, as though ancestors watched from the shadows. Nena's steps were shaky. "Iogu, what if the spirit was right? What if I'm truly cursed?" Iogu squeezed her hand. "If you are cursed, then let us break it together. I will not leave your side." His voice was steady, but she could feel the fear trembling beneath his calm, yet he walked beside her without hesitation. When they reached the shrine, Adana positioned them in a triangle facing the ancient altar. "Before the curse can be lifted," she said, "each of you must speak the truth you fear most. Truth is the only offering the spirit accepts." Iogu exhaled deeply. "I'll go first." He stepped toward the altar, shoulders squared. "My truth," he said, voice cracking, "is that I failed Nena's father. I watched him take the blame for something he did not do. I let fear control me, and I allowed my silence to hurt the woman I love." The shrine trembled slightly, its carvings glowing brighter. Nena swallowed hard and stepped forward next. "My truth," she whispered, "is that I judged Iogu without understanding. I believed the rumors about him. I loved him, yet I doubted him. And even now, I fear that loving him will destroy me, but I choose him anyway." Iogu's breath caught. Adana nodded. "And now the deepest truth remains." She stepped back, allowing Nena to approach the altar again. "The truth you do not know," Adana said softly, "is the one your mother has hidden from you for years." Nena turned, heart pounding. "What truth?" Adana lifted her chin toward the shrine's doorway. A woman emerged slowly, someone Nena recognized instantly. Her mother. But her mother's face was streaked with
"I have
guilt.
come to tell you the truth of that night, the truth of your birth." Iogu froze. Nena felt her knees weaken. "Mama, what truth?" Her mother wiped her tears. "The night the grove burned, I was there too." A shocked gasp escaped Nena's lips. Her mother continued, voice trembling. "I followed your father into the grove. I saw the fire. I saw the chaos. And I saw the elders accuse him. I tried to defend him, but Ikem threatened me. He said if I spoke up, our entire family would be destroyed." Nena trembled. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because," her mother whispered, "when I found out I was pregnant with you, Adana warned me that the curse would touch you, unless you proved stronger than the lies that created it." The shrine glowed violently. Adana stepped forward, eyes burning with ancient power. "It is time." The wind rose, the earth shook. "The truth has been spoken. Now the spirit will decide." The shrine erupted in blinding green light, engulfing Nena and Iogu completely, and as the world disappeared around them, Nena realized the past was not finished with them yet. The blinding green light swallowed them whole. For a moment, Nena felt as though she were floating inside a world without walls, no sky, no earth, only shimmering green mist swirling around her like the breath of ancient spirits.
She could not feel her body. She could not hear rain or wind or the murmurs of villagers. Only silence, and then a deep heartbeat. Not hers, not Iogu's, something older. Nena. She spun around, though her feet were not touching ground. Iogu drifted toward her, his form outlined in shimmering light. His eyes were wide with awe and fear. Iogu, where are we? Before he could answer, a voice echoed through the void, neither male nor female, but a powerful blend of both. You stand between the living and the ancestors. Nena felt her skin prickle. The spirit world? She whispered. The voice boomed again. The realm of truth, where nothing can be hidden. Suddenly the light condensed, swirling into shapes. First trees, then stones, then faces, faces she had never seen but somehow recognized. Ancestors, hundreds of them, gathered like a silent council. Iogu swallowed hard. This is real. This is truly happening. A figure stepped forward from the assembly of ancestors, an imposing man wearing robes of light, his face stern but wise. I am Igbeze, first guardian of the sacred grove, he announced. You were brought here to witness what truly happened and to choose the path forward. With a wave of his hand, the green mist formed into a moving image, like a memory brought to life. They saw the sacred grove untouched and glowing with ancient beauty. Then they saw Ogbuefi Nwoke, Iogu's father, young and strong, hiding behind a tree with Iogu as a child beside him. Nena gasped. That's you! Tiny Iogu looked frightened as his father whispered urgently to him, We only watch. If things go wrong, we run. Then the elders arrived, lighting torches, beginning a ritual that seemed wrong, dangerously wrong. Iogu whispered urgently, I remember this, but only pieces. Nena watched as a torch slipped from an elder's hand, rolling across dry leaves. No, Iogu breathed. The leaves ignited instantly, flames spread. Panic people, the elders scrambled, shouting, Stop the fire! Nena covered her mouth. It was never your fault, she whispered to Iogu. Ogbuefi grabbed young Iogu's arm, ready to flee, when suddenly a deeper shadow moved through the grove, something ancient and furious, the guardian spirit. When the fire reached its roots, it rose, thrashing, roaring, shaking the ground. Iogu stumbled back. Spirit! It woke because of the ritual, not me! Nena nodded. The scene shifted. They saw her father arriving, drawn by the flames. He tried to save an elder trapped under a fallen branch. But then Chief Ikem appeared, whispering to other elders, pointing at Nena's father, twisting the narrative. Lies became truth. Truth became buried. The fire died out, but the curse was born. The vision faded. Iogu trembled. I carried this guilt for nothing. No, Igbeze corrected. You carried the guilt because guilt bound the curse. Nena turned toward the ancestor. What must we do? The ancestor's voice softened. Love did not create the curse, but love is the only thing strong enough to end it. Iogu took Nena's hand. and the ancestor raised his staff. Return, face your world, and choose the truth. The realm dissolved in light, and they fell back into their bodies. Nena gasped as her body reconnected with reality. Iogu inhaled sharply beside her. The rain had stopped completely, as if the sky itself was waiting. Dozens of villagers surrounded the shrine, murmuring anxiously. Some prayed, some stared, others clutched talismans and amulets. Adana stepped forward. You have returned. The shrine accepted your spirits. Nena felt weak, but stronger in her heart. We saw everything, the truth, all of it. Iogu nodded. My father was not the villain, neither was hers. The fire, it was an accident. Chief Ikem shifted nervously, beads of sweat forming despite the cool air.
It is time. Chief Ikem tried to straighten his shoulders. You cannot condemn me with illusions. Who can claim those visions were real? Iogu stepped forward, voice firm. I can, because I was there that night, and what we saw aligned with the memories I carried in fragments. The villagers murmured. Nena added, and the ancestors would not summon us to lie. Chief Ikem scoffed, but his eyes trembled. You are still just a farmer's son. Your word holds no power. But this time, Iogu did not flinch. Maybe not before, but today I speak with the voice of truth. He turned to the villagers. Chief Ikem manipulated the elders. He let an innocent man bear a punishment meant for no man. He stole the grove to gain power, and he did it without remorse. A heavy silence fell. Adana raised her staff again, and the carvings on the shrine glowed. The ancestors confirm his guilt, she proclaimed. Chief Ikem stumbled backward. You cannot judge me. I am the chief. Iogu's voice hardened. A chief serves truth. You served yourself. Nena stepped forward, fire in her eyes. For years my family suffered. My father was cast out, my mother cried in silence, and I grew up thinking we were tainted. Her voice shook the air. But we were never cursed. You cursed us. The villagers erupted in gasps. Chief Ikem fell to his knees. It wasn't supposed to go this far. I only wanted control. I didn't know the spirit would awaken. That, Adana said coldly, is the cost of arrogance. The villagers surrounded him, their fear turning into justified anger. But before they could act, the shrine trembled again. A deep voice echoed. The final truth must be spoken, or the curse remains. Nena's heart raced. What final truth? She asked. Iogu turned to her slowly. The truth about us. The villagers fell silent. A quiet wind swept through the shrine, circling Nena and Iogu. Even the trees leaned inward as if listening. Iogu took a slow, shaky breath. Nena, he began, I have hidden something from you, not out of deceit, but out of fear. Nena's heart thudded painfully. What truth? He stepped closer, looking directly into her eyes clouded with pain, hope, and vulnerability. My father and I, after the fire, we left the grove, but before we escaped, something happened. His hands trembled slightly as he lifted them. The spirit touched me. Nena stiffened. Iogu continued. I was a child, terrified, running, but when the spirit rose, it brushed its energy against me. I felt it enter me,
like a seed planted under my skin. The villagers murmured in horror. Adana closed her eyes. So that is why. Ayogu nodded. Yes, I have always felt it, a weight, a whisper, a shadow following me. I thought it was guilt, but it was the curse clinging to me. Nena reached for his hand instinctively. Ayogu! He shook his head. I never told you because I feared that if you loved me, you would be tied to the curse forever. Her lips trembled. I was already tied to it from birth. A single tear slid Ayogu's cheek. I thought loving you would curse you, but now I see loving you is the only thing that ever saved me from drowning. Nena's breath hitched. I love you too, she whispered, voice cracking. Ayogu continued, voice steadier now. The spirit said I fed the curse, and I did, by hiding my truth, by letting fear control me, by thinking myself unworthy because I am a farmer's son. He lifted his chin. But today, before the ancestors, before this village, before you, I speak the truth. His voice rose like thunder. I am Ayogu, son of Mwoke. I am not cursed. I am not weak, and I will carry the truth, not the shame of what happened that night. The shrine glowed brighter. Ayogu stepped closer to Nena, so close she felt the warmth of his breath. And my final truth is this. He placed his palm over his heart. I love you, Nena. I always have, and if the curse demands my life, I will give it, gladly, if it frees you. Nena gasped. Don't say that. Ayogu smiled softly. My life is nothing without truth, and nothing without you. A warm wind swirled around them, lifting Nena's braids, rustling Ayogu's clothes, humming with ancient power. The shrine whispered, Truth accepted. The wind stilled, and all eyes turned to Nena. Her heart pounded, her palms were damp, but something inside her, something fierce and ancient, rose to the surface. She stepped forward slowly, the stones of the shrine glowing beneath her. Nena, Adana whispered, speak what your soul has hidden. Nena inhaled deeply. Whole my life, I grew up hearing people call Ayogu just a farmer's son, a nobody, a boy beneath me. Several villagers lowered their heads in shame. But the real truth? She looked at Ayogu, her voice trembling. I believed it too. Ayogu's eyes widened slightly. I let pride blind me, Nena continued. I loved you, Ayogu, long before I understood it, but I pushed you away because I feared what people would say, feared disappointing my family, feared loving someone the world thought was unworthy.
When you walked away,
Her voice
wounded,
cracked.
I told myself it was for the best. A tear slid down her cheek. But every night I felt like part of my spirit was missing because the truth I hid, even from myself, was that you were the only one who saw me, truly saw me. Ayogu swallowed hard. You saw the girl I was trying to become, and the girl I was afraid to be. She stepped closer. My truth is this. I loved you before I had courage. I loved you when I was too foolish to admit it. I love you now more than my pride, more than my fear, more than the past. Ayogu's breath trembled. The villagers were silent, completely spellbound. Nena continued, voice soft and raw. And I am not afraid anymore, not of the curse, not of the truth, not of loving a farmer's son. She touched his face gently. Because you are so much more. A soft rumble rose from the shrine. Approval.
Nena lifted her head, speaking to the ancestors. My final truth is this. Let the curse fall on me if it must, but spare him. Iogu froze. Nena, no! She shook her head. I was born into this curse. He only carried it because he tried to protect me. If sacrifice must be made, it should be me. Iogu grabbed her shoulders, voice breaking. No, I won't let you do that! But the shrine glowed violently, cutting him off. The wind howled. The spirit's voice echoed. The girl speaks truth from the heart. Iogu tried to pull her back, tears streaming from his eyes, but the spirit roared. Her sacrifice is accepted. Nena felt her body lift, the shrine's light engulfing her. Nena! Iogu screamed. The villagers shouted in terror. A beam of green fire hit Nena square in the chest. Iogu lunged toward her, and everything exploded. Light detonated from the shrine like a bursting star, hurling Iogu backward onto the stones. Villagers fell to their knees, shielding their faces. Even Adana staggered. When the explosion faded, Nena floated 2 feet above the ground, unmoving, eyes closed, glowing with green energy. Iogu scrambled up, screaming, Nena! Nena, please, wake up! But she didn't respond. Instead, the spirit's voice came, deep and thunderous. The final truth has been spoken. The heart has offered itself freely. The curse shall be judged. Iogu shook his head violently. No, she didn't mean sacrifice. She meant truth. You can't take her. But the spirit continued. Her love is pure, but purity alone cannot break what was forged in deceit. The villagers trembled. Adana lifted her staff, voice urgent. Spirit, she has spoken truth. The curse should break. The spirit replied, Only if all 3 have spoken. A hush fell. Iogu whispered, broken, All 3? Then the spirit thundered, The mother has not spoken. Every head turned sharply to Nena's mother. She stood frozen, trembling violently, clutching her wrapper against her chest. Adana shouted, This is the moment! Speak now, before your daughter is lost! The mother stepped forward slowly, sobbing. I never meant to hide the truth. I loved my husband. I tried to save him, but I was weak. I feared Ikem. I feared losing everything. And I feared bringing a cursed child into the world. Iogu clenched his fists. The mother fell to her knees. But Nena was never cursed. I cursed her with my silence. I let her grow believing she carried shame and misfortune. I let her father walk into exile without the comfort of truth. She pounded her fist into the earth. Forgive me. I failed both of you. I failed my husband. I failed my daughter. And I failed myself. As her cries echoed, the shrine glowed brightly, so brightly the villagers shielded their eyes. The spirit roared, The all 3 truths are complete. Nena's body descended slowly until her feet touched the ground. The green light lifted from her chest like mist, swirling upward into the sky. Iogu ran to her instantly, catching her as her knees buckled. Nena, Nena, please, open your eyes. For a moment there was only silence. Then her eyelids fluttered. Iogu. He choked on a sob, pressing his forehead to hers. You came back. You're alive. She smiled weakly. I heard everything, even in the light. Thunder rumbled, not harsh, but calm and full, like a drumbeat of ancestors satisfied. The spirit's voice echoed one last time. "The curse is broken." A wave of warm wind swept across the entire village. The air felt lighter, softer, as if a great shadow had been lifted. Chief Ikem screamed as the wind hit him, his staff snapping in half, his red cap rolling into the dirt. The villagers backed away from Ikem. Adana declared, "Chief Ikem has lost his honor. By the laws of our ancestors, he is no longer chief." The villagers erupted in shouts, some angry, some relieved. Nena clung to Iogu. Iogu held her tighter than he ever had. The curse was gone. The past was cleansed. But the future, their future, that chapter was just beginning. The night after the elders' gathering, Zuri could not sleep. The moon hung low, swollen like a calabash full of secrets, its pale light spilling through the cracks of her room. She tossed and turned, hearing faint whispers like the breath of old spirits brushing against the earth. Clutching her wrapper. Something in the air felt strange, charged, humming, almost trembling. Her mother, Mama Lottie, knocked softly. "Zuri, are you awake?" "Yes, Mama." Mama Lottie's eyes were troubled as she stepped in. "The earth is restless tonight. Your grandmother would have said the ancestors are speaking in thunderless voices." Before Zuri could ask more, a deep rumble shook the ground, soft at first, then steady like the heartbeat of a beast awakening beneath them. The walls quivered, plates rattled. Outside, chickens screeched and goats bleated in fear. Mama Lottie gripped Zuri's arm. "It begins," she whispered. "The path of the chosen always shakes the world." Outside, people emerged from their huts in confusion. The elders stood beneath the moon, raising carved staffs to the sky. Children clung to their mothers. A warm wind wrapped the village, stirring leaves into spirals. Then, as suddenly as it began, the trembling stopped. A silence followed, deep, heavy, unnatural. And in that silence, Zuri heard a voice, a single word, carried like smoke. "Choose." She froze. "Mama, did you hear that?" "No," Mama Lottie whispered fearfully, "but fear not. Some messages are meant only for the ears destined to hear them." Zuri felt her heart twist. She knew what this was about. Her love for Karim, her duty to the ancestors, the path that split in two. Later that night, she found Toddy outside, sitting on a fallen log, staring at the moon as though it had spoken to him as well. "Toddy," she said quietly, "something is wrong." He didn't turn. "The earth moved because the destiny of 3 hearts has collided, yours, Karim's, and mine." She swallowed hard, tears threatening. "I didn't want this. I never asked for this kind of choice." Toddy finally turned, eyes glistening with a pain he rarely let show. "I know, but destiny never asks permission." Suddenly, a distant drumbeat sounded, soft, slow, ancient. Both of them looked toward the forest. "Karim," Zuri whispered. Something was calling him, something old, something dangerous, and Zuri knew the shaking earth was only the beginning. Karim felt it before he heard it, a pull, a tug, a silent hand drawing him toward the ancestral forest, like a mother calling a child home after wandering too long. He tried resisting at first, gripping the doorway of his hut as if anchoring himself would break the invisible command. It didn't. His heartbeat changed rhythm, syncing with the ancient drum echoing from deep within the trees. He whispered to himself, "This is the drum from my dream." He stepped barefoot onto the cool soil. The wind rustled, carrying voices he could almost interpret, fragments of names, warnings, and something that sounded disturbingly like a promise. As he reached the forest entrance, the shadows parted like curtain cloth as if welcoming him. Meanwhile, Toddy followed from a distance, hiding behind shrubs, her wrapper brushing against whispering leaves. She could hear the forest breathing, slow, intentional, alive. Deep inside, Karim reached a clearing where a colossal tree stood, a spirit tree older than recorded time, its bark etched with the faded faces of forgotten ancestors. He approached. "Karim," a voice boomed, not loud, but deep enough to vibrate his bones. He dropped to his knees, covering his ears. "Who are you?" "We are the ones who guided the footsteps of your forefathers, and now we guide yours." Karim trembled. "But I'm just a farmer's son." The tree responded with a dry, ancient sigh. "That is what she once called you, yes, but you were never just. You carry the blood of the first tillers, keepers of the covenant between earth and spirit." Karim's heart slammed against his ribs. "I don't understand." "You will," the voice promised. "A battle approaches, not with swords, not with fists, but with choices and truth." The forest brightened suddenly. Fireflies swarmed around him in spirals of gold, lifting him gently to his feet. Then the voice spoke again, this time softer, almost parental. "And your heart, Karim, the one who holds it, will decide the fate of all." Karim's breath caught. He knew exactly who they meant. Behind a tree, Zuri gasped, covering her mouth with both hands. They knew about her. They were watching her, and her choice would change everything. The next morning, the entire village buzzed with tension. The elders gathered urgently. The ground felt too quiet after last night's trembling, like a beast holding its breath. Zuri sat beside Mama Lottie, hands shaking as she relayed everything she heard in the forest. She expected disbelief, mockery even, but instead the elders exchanged heavy glances. Finally, Elder Jatau spoke. "It has begun. The prophecy is unfolding." Mama Lottie clasped Zuri's hand. "Child, the ancestors have chosen you as the one who must decide the path of the land." Zuri's throat tightened. "Why is everything depending on me? I didn't ask to be chosen." "You were chosen long before you were born," Elder Maido said. "The day you mocked Karim as just a farmer's son, your fates tied themselves together."
Memories washing over her, her arrogance, her misunderstandings, her pride. "Where is Karim now?" she asked. "He prepares," Elder Jatau said quietly, "for dusk." "Dusk?" Zuri repeated. "What happens at dusk?" No one answered, but in the distance she heard drums, distant, ancient, unsettling. She stood abruptly. "I have to see him." The elders exchanged glances, but did not stop her. They knew destiny could not be argued with, not even by the wise. She found Karim near the river, washing his face, the cold water dripping down his troubled expression. His shoulders were tense, his chest rising and falling in uneven breaths. "Karim," she whispered. He didn't turn. "You heard them, the ancestors." "Yes." "And do you know what they want?" "No." He faced her then, eyes dark with fear and responsibility. "They want us to stand on opposite sides before the moon rises." Zuri staggered back. "What? Why?" "He represent the choice. I represent the consequence." Her eyes filled with tears. "Karim, I don't want to lose you." He stepped closer, cupping her cheek gently. "I don't want to lose you either, but destiny doesn't care what we want." Zuri placed her hand over his.
Then we fight destiny." Karim stared at her, searching her eyes. The wind blew around them, as if listening. "You would go against the ancestors?" he whispered. "I would go with you, wherever it leads." Karim broke, just slightly, his tough exterior melting into fear and tenderness. But a distant horn blasted suddenly. Both of them froze. It was the horn of gathering, the horn of decision. The moon had begun its climb, and the fate of the village was counting down. The village square was transformed by dusk. Torches burned bright, circling the gathering grounds. Elders sat in a half-moon shape, carved staffs planted firmly into the soil. Behind them stood villagers, men, women, hunters, farmers, mothers with their babies strapped to their backs, all silent, all watching. Karim stood on the left side of the circle. Zuri was placed on the right. Between them, a stretch of bare earth glowed faintly, marked with sacred ash and ancestral symbols. A steady drumbeat filled the air, slow and heartbeat-like. Elder Jatau stepped forward. His voice carried a weight older than any living soul present. "The ancestors have spoken. Tonight, two paths collide." Elder Myro raised her staff. "A bond forged by mockery but sealed by destiny must be tested." Zuri swallowed hard, feeling every eye on her. Just a farmer's son. Those words had once tasted sweet with arrogance, but now they felt like a shackle she wished she could break. The drums quickened. Elder Bature called out, "Karim, son of Danladi, bearer of the tiller's blood." Karim stepped forward, chest rising with controlled breath. "Ziri, daughter of Ladi, chosen listener of the earth." Ziri stepped forward too, though her legs trembled. Elder Jatau raised both hands. "Tonight, before the moon reaches its peak, the land will choose through you." A murmur swept through the villagers. Ziri's heart pounded. "Choose? What?" Elder Myro's voice dropped low. "Whether the ancient covenant continues or breaks." Karim's head snapped up. "But if it breaks—" "Yes," Jatau replied. "Everything ends." The drums stopped abruptly, leaving a deafening silence. Then a strange wind surged between them. The ground glowed, cracks of golden light spiderwebbing across the earth. Ziri gasped. "Karim!" he whispered. "It's happening." Ziri felt a pull on her chest, like invisible hands tugging at her heart. Tears sprung unbidden to her eyes. Karim reached a trembling hand toward her. She reached too. Their fingers brushed, and the earth erupted in blinding light. A shockwave spread outward, pushing everyone back. Villagers screamed, torches flickered, the moon above pulsed like a beating heart. Ziri's legs buckled. Karim fell to one knee. Voices, thousands of them, whispered as one. "Choose, choose, choose." Ziri screamed, covering her ears. Karim reached for her again, shouting her name, but the world dissolved into white. Then silence. The world returned slowly, like waking from a dream stitched by storms and ancestors.
She was floating,
Ziri
not
opened
in
her
air,
eyes.
not in water, but in a space made of soft light and echoing memories. She looked around and saw shapes, faces, silhouettes, ancient beings carved from shimmering dust. The ancestors. One stepped forward, a tall figure shaped like wind and earth intertwined. "Zuri," it said gently, "your heart is heavier than a stone carved with sorrow." She swallowed. "What do you want from me?" "Truth." She shook her head, tears slipping down her glowing cheeks. "But I don't know what the right choice is." "Then speak the truth of your heart," the being said. "Let the land listen."
Before she could respond, Karim appeared beside her, also suspended in the glowing space, staring in awe and fear. "Zuri?" he whispered. She grabbed his hand instantly. "Karim!" Their fingers locked, warm, trembling, desperate. The ancestors circled them, forming a ring of light. "Together or apart," one said. "Duty or desire," another added. "Covenant or change," a third murmured. Zuri's breath trembled. "Why does everything depend on us? We never asked for this." "No destiny is ever asked for," the circle responded in one voice. "It is lived into." Karim squeezed her hand, grounding her. "Zuri, maybe the right choice is the one we make together." Her heart cracked open at his words. She turned to the ancestors. "Then listen," she said, voice shaking but strong. "I mocked Karim. I judged him. I looked down on him. And yet he is the one who holds me together. He is my calm, my courage, my truth." Karim's eyes glistened. Zuri continued, louder. "I choose love, not fear, not tradition, not power. I choose him." The light pulsed around them. Karim stepped forward. "And I choose her, not because destiny tied us together, but because my heart did." For a long moment, silence. Then the ancestors spoke, soft, almost proud. "Love, when pure, does not break covenants. It strengthens them." The glowing space cracked like an eggshell of light, and the world reformed around them. They were back in the village square. Villagers gasped, elders knelt, the moon shone brighter than ever before. Karim and Zuri stood in the center, still holding hands. The cracked earth beneath them had healed, new shoots of green sprouting from the soil, glowing faintly. Elder Jatau bowed deeply. "The land has chosen." Mama Lottie burst into tears, rushing forward to embrace her daughter. "Zuri!" As the village erupted in joyous cries, Karim turned to Zuri. "You're not just anything," she said softly. He smiled, brushing her cheek. "And you're more than what destiny demanded." Their foreheads touched. The torches flickered warmly. The moon glowed strong. The land breathed peacefully for the first time in generations. And in that moment, Zuri realized something. She had not just found love. She had found destiny, rewritten by her own heart.